Hello everyone and welcome back to another daily creative challenge here in Adobe Illustrator. Hi, eye contact here. Chat, you're actually hanging out over here, so I try to look at you, but you're right here. Welcome back. My name is Andrew Hochradel and I am your host over the next week and a half as we dive into Adobe Illustrator. Now, we have changed up the format a little bit and we're doing 15-minute segments with a 10-minute hangout over in our Discord. Our moderator Wade will drop that link for you in the chat if you're here. Also, you can follow me on social media just at hoch.co, H-O-C-H-D-O-T-C-O, anywhere here on Behance, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you want to be. Now, we're short on time, we're condensed, and so we're going to hop right in. I'm going to show you how to get involved with the daily creative challenges and learn a little bit more about Adobe Illustrator every single day. So the first thing that you can do is go to behance.net/challenge/illustrator, and you can click on this button to take the challenge. Now today, I'm going to walk you through every step to get involved. As we scroll down, we are going to see the daily challenges. Each day there is a new one of these, and we're going to go and click on today's. We're going to click on Get Started and watch what happens. We are going to get sent to a Creative Cloud Public Assets library, and here we have challenge number 2. We're going to click on these 3 dots and hit Download, and that will download the file for us so we can click on it and it opens in Adobe Illustrator. There you go, super easy. So make sure you grab that source file, again, behance.net/challenge/illustrator, and it will open that file so that we're all in the same place. The other thing that we are doing is we are working on the same set of tools. So we are going to Window, we're going to Workspace, and then Essentials Classic is the way that we are working. I'm going to go ahead and reset to mine to make sure that it is exactly the same as yours. There we go. We are back exactly the same as yours. And this is what we'll be working with today. Now let's go ahead and hop over here and check out what we are doing today. Again, there is a new challenge every single day, and it is something that we will be learning together. You can join us in Discord immediately following this and show off your work. A lot of people made great work in our past challenge. But let's hop in and talk about how to transform and how to move objects around in Adobe Illustrator. I do have my hotkeys turned back on, and so we learned yesterday that L is the hotkey for an ellipse, M is for a rectangle, and we also learned a little bit about I, which is the eyedropper tool, and that will grab a color and put it on a different object. Today we're going to be learning about V and A. So V, if you can see here, right now I'm on the eyedropper tool on my cursor. If we hit V, it's going to take us to the selection tool, and that's what we're going to be using all throughout the time today. The selection tool makes it so that we can click and drag things. Think of it as your finger. We can push and then slide it across the table, right? If Illustrator is our table, the selection tool is our finger that we can push and drag things around. The direct selection tool is the white one, and that is A, and that will get a little bit more precise. But for now, we just want to use a selection tool, which is V. Now, today we're talking about transforming things, and I think that we should make an illustration. I am feeling very much up in the clouds, ready for fall, ready for rain. So we're going to make a nice little sunset illustration using these basic shapes and grouping, aligning, as well as our selection tools. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to start moving around these shapes to try to make a little bit of a cloud look on our artboard. So I'm going to hit Z to grab the zoom tool and just zoom in a little bit here. And then I'm holding space. If you see a big block happen down here, it's because I'm holding space to just drag things around. So we're going to hit V to grab our selection tool again. And I'm going to show you a trick so that you don't have to make new objects. If you have objects already made, you can simply click and hit Alt or Option, and that's going to make a copy. You can see our cursor go into 2 little arrows. That means that it's going to make a copy of those shapes. So it looks like we have the copy there, but there's something that's wrong. It's actually behind the sunset. Now, to fix this, to transform these objects to be closer to us, what we want to do is right-click, go to Arrange, and then Bring to Front. So right-click, Arrange, Bring to front with those selected, and now we have all of those objects so that we can see them, right? It's important to work with the objects that we want on the top so that we can see them well. Now there's another problem. If we want to move any of these, right, to make a cloud, we want them to overlap a little bit, but there's a problem. They're all together, right? They're all moving together. And if things are moving together, that means that they are grouped. So what we're going to do is we are going to ungroup those. We're going to right click and we're going to go to ungroup. So now if we click away, and then click back in here, we can move one of them instead of moving all of them. So they are ungrouped. Now I'm going to Control Z, which is just undo, to undo that. If we wanted to and had these as individual objects, we could do the opposite of that to bring them together. We can select all of them, we can right click and click on group, and now they will move all together. So we're going to be grouping them again so that we can make our cloud once our cloud is done. So we're going to ungroup them for now. Right click, ungroup. The hotkey for that is just Control Shift G. Yes, Control Shift and G is going to ungroup those for us. And now we can start to overlap them to make a nice little cloud shape. So I'm just going to grab these. And again, I'm using the selection tool to just click and drag so that they overlap a little bit to maybe make a little bit of a cloud shape. Now, that's kind of looking like a cloud, but it's not a great cloud. We are going to save this one, and I'm going to group it so that we have this version of a cloud. So congratulations, you've passed. You've made your first cloud using the ungroup and the group tools as well as the selection tools. Not a pretty cloud, but it's a cloud. So we're going to click and drag a box around all of these shapes. And you can see they're overlapping in all kinds of crazy, a bunch of different ovals and a bunch of different ellipses. And we are going to hit Command G or right click and go to group. So I'm going to use Command G. You can see the hotkey down there. And now when I move this, it moves as one individual cloud, right? Looks great. Now we want to make another cloud, so I'm going to click and drag again, holding Alt or Option to make a copy. You can see the cursor change right there. And when we let go, again, it's in the back. So we are going to right click and arrange, bring to front, or you can Control Shift and hit the bracket. So you can see the right bracket there. The brackets bring it forward or backwards, depending on which bracket that you're doing. If you want to send it to back, it's the other bracket on the left. The right bracket is bringing it to the front. We are going to ungroup those, again, Control Shift G, or going to right click ungroup. And now we're looking a little bit better. So we're going to zoom in here and start to make a little bit more of a cloud shape. Now I'm actually going to delete this perfect circle because we don't want that. And we're going to grab the selection tool and start to build this little cloud shape. And I think clouds usually build this way. I don't think that we'll use these, but I do want to rotate them. So what I can do is I can actually hover over the edge and rotate that way, or I can hit R or go over here to the rotate tool. And the rotate tool is right here. You can just hit R. And the rotate tool, again, think of it as a pin and a pendulum. So we are pinning where this green is right here in the middle. And then we are going to click and drag, and you can see that the pendulum is kind of pushing along that pin. So we're just clicking and dragging. Think of it as your finger kind of turning a clock hand. And so we're going to turn it this way, and we want it to be right even. Right now it's a little wobbly. So if we hold Shift, it's actually going to move it in 45-degree increments. So we want it to be perfectly flat. We just hold Shift and then let go. We can grab our selection tool and bring it over here to our cloud. And there we go. It's looking a little more cloudy. Let's do the same thing with this one, except this time, instead of clicking and dragging, we're going to hit R for the rotate tool. And instead of clicking anything, look, no hands, we are going to hit Enter. And when you hit Enter, it's going to bring up a dialog box for us. And this is where we can get really technical, right? If we want to do some math, we can figure out how far we want to rotate it. So maybe we want it to be 45 degrees. If we turn on the preview right here, you can see that it's going to show us 45 degrees. Now here, let's change it to 90 so that it is perfectly across. And we're going to hit OK. And there we go. So to transform these, we also can use the bounding box that we used in a past lesson and just click and drag those bounding boxes so we have a nice little cloud shape. So this is looking pretty good to me. Yeah, sure, looks pretty good to me. So let's go ahead and group this by just clicking and dragging all the way out over everything. And again, right click and group, or we can just hit Control or Command G. So there we go. We've got a nice little cloud. And let's say that we want to do some more clouds just using this shape. We don't need to make new ones. Let's click and drag, again, holding Alt or Option to make another one. And to transform this and flip it so that it doesn't look the same, we can have a right click, transform, and right click, transform, reflect. And then here we can do horizontal if we want it to flip across this way, or we can, vertical if we want it to go this way, or horizontal if we want it to go top to bottom. We want it to flip opposite ways, so we're going to hit OK. You can see that preview on. And there we go. Now we have a completely new cloud. Poor little guy. We're going to delete him. We love you. Actually, we'll put you off the artboard. So now we have a perfect little cloud on the other side that looks a little bit different. Now, maybe we want to give these clouds a little bit of motion. We want to move them across. So what we can do is we're going to select both of these, and we're going to use something that is hiding underneath the scale tool. So the scale tool is just S. And we'll get to the scale tool in a second, but I want to show you how to shear something. So we're going to right click and then we're going to click and hold down and then go to the shear tool. And from here, it's the same thing. It's going to put a pin where the green is. And then when we click and drag, it's like moving maybe two rulers that are attached together by popsicle sticks, right? It's going to start to shear them so that as the top one moves, as we hold it down and move it, it's going to also kind of move everything to shear. So we're going to click and drag. We're going to hold Shift for this one. And look at this, it's going to give us a little bit of motion. So now it looks like those clouds are moving. And we just selected them again. We grabbed the shear tool and then clicked and dragged. We also want to play around maybe with scaling of these. We're going to click and drag holding Alt or Option to make another copy. And grab the scale tool. Now the scale tool is an important one. The hotkey is just S, or you can come over here right next to the rotate tool and click on scale. And again, it's going to pinpoint in the middle and then think of it as stretching, like a piece of taffy or a piece of putty or some slime. We're going to go from this point and click and drag out. Now, if we go small, it's going to squish it. It's basically clicking and dragging to wherever we're pulling it to. If we hold Shift, it will actually scale it perfectly and symmetrically to what we want. And that's what we want. We want it to be a little bit bigger. So there we go. Now the scale tool, we also can grab and make a copy. And we're going to grab the scale tool using S. We can hit enter. And from here, we can do maybe 20%. Now this looks great, but what if I want to do it randomly? This is going to get really crazy, really crazy. Watch this. We're going to make a bunch of copies of these clouds. All right, bunch of copies of the clouds. And this is how you randomly transform a bunch of objects into different sizes. So we're going to select all of these clouds and go to Object, Transform. And then instead of transforming, we're going to go to Transform Each. So check this out, Transform Each. And the scale is what we want right here. But we want to come down here and click on Random. And watch this. So what we're going to do is we can increase the scale here. There we go. And we're pulling those. And you can see that it's basically doing different versions of those. So it's scaling either way. Let's actually put these at 200 and see what happens. There we go. It is randomly generating those. So you see at 200, they would all scale here. But if we click random, it is going to have 200 as the highest and then scale the rest of them down. So maybe we want it to be 70 and 70. You can see that they are all randomly generated at different sizes. Kind of fun. So hit OK there. And then I want to show you one more thing. Let's grab this sun and bring it over here. There we go. It's behind the clouds. And then let's bring one of these rays. Now, if we want to do some sun rays around the sun, we can select our sun ray here, grab the rotate tool, and we want it to go around maybe the center of this circle. Now, this green dot where we're pinning, we can actually go and reassign it. So we're going to click here, and then we are going to click and drag. And again, we've pinned in the center of the sun. We're going to click and drag and hold Alt or Option. Again, it is that double, so it's going to make a copy, and then let go, and it will make a copy of that. We can go then to Object, Transform, and Transform again, which is just Control D, and it will make another copy of that. So we can Control D, and it will go all the way around. You can see all the Control D. I'm just hitting that hotkey again and again and again to transform again. And now we have a beautiful sunset that is happening right there. All right, so let's go ahead and hop over into Discord and we will check it out there. All right, so join me over on Discord and we'll see you there.